oh, I don't know about that last part, but I'm very excited to explore.
How are you going to get in the back door of that building?
Exactly. And sometimes it scares me because sometimes I'm like, ooh, am I like super weird? And
Absolutely.
like, will that be accepted?
We love, we just love to taste everything.
I can't help it. I'm astrologically slutty.
Yeah, right?
NASA has been quoted saying that astrology is not science. Are they right? Or is astrology so powerful that it can detect our deepest, darkest desires? Today with us is the expert that will tell us that sextrology is the most powerful thing for your sex life. Hi, Nadège.
Hi.
I'm so excited to have you here.
I'm so happy to be here, Dr. Tara. I love your work and I love the way you ask questions and are introducing this yummy topic of astrology.
Very yummy. And you're the best-selling author of this book, Sextrology. And tell me more about how you got into sex astrology.
Yeah, absolutely. Well, my background, it's funny because I own a business called Pleasure Science. I graduated from Berkeley. I'm a sex scholar, but my spiritual practice has always been astrology ever since I was a kid. When I was 15 years old, my best friend at the time was like, there's this interesting thing called astrology. Let's go to the store. So we went
this kid was
she was very
advanced.
New Age spiritual. Oh, her mom. Honestly, it was the moms. The moms got us into it. But we would go to Barnes & Noble and we would just read the astrology books. And one day she turned to me and she was like, if people just knew about this, divorce wouldn't happen anymore. And I was like, yeah. And I don't think that anymore. I think it's totally fine to have a divorce.
Yeah.
And normal. But I did start getting into the topic. And one of the things that I really started to love about astrology was I was coming to terms. I was 15 years old when I found astrology, and I had my first crush on a woman. And astrology was the first place that I found where there wasn't a presumption of who you're going to have sex with. We're just going to talk about sex compatibility. And I really liked that. And so that just brought me into this world, and it's been my spiritual practice ever since.
Wow. Talking about sex compatibility.
Yeah.
Okay. What are some of the things you like look for in terms of like astrology and sex compatibility?
Oh, yeah. So if you pull up your chart, I would recommend looking at your Black Moon Lilith placement. This shows you what you have repressed in this lifetime with regards to sex and what you're going to overcome in this lifetime. Your North Node is always good because that's your destiny placement. So it shows you what you're compatible with in life, period. And sex, as you know, it's so much more than just the sex you're having with someone else. It's the sex you're having with yourself, your own sexuality, your confidence. Mars is the planet of love, sex, and war. So we are definitely going to look at Mars. And Venus, planet of love. And then your moon. Your moon represents your emotional core. And this is what I like about astrology, because whether you believe in astrology or not, to me, astrology is one of the many ways we use what we have available to understand the human experience, right? And it's a spiritual practice that has lineages. It dates back thousands of years. And it crosses over to many other spiritual practices that help us understand the human experience. And especially when it comes to sex, it can be such a very warm and inviting way to start talking about sex, thinking about sex without getting worried, or getting maybe triggered, because it's totally normal to have shame come up or embarrassment or all types of feelings when we talk about sex. So I've found in my own practice, when I read someone their chart, it's sort of like this great equalizer where they don't need to feel shame. And if they do start to feel embarrassed, I'm like, cool, let's talk about your career placements. We don't have to,
you like
so many...
anal, but let's talk about your career.
Oh my God. How are you going to get in the back door of that building?
Exactly. Well, my Mars, I don't know what it is, but I'm pretty sure it's popping. I don't know yet what it is, but okay, we'll talk about that. But I do want to share a little bit about, my journey into astrology, because I used to be a hater.
Ooh.
Yeah, I used to be the kind of person like makes fun of people that talks about astrology. Like, oh my God, my sign is this, right?
Yeah.
And for the longest time, I was in that realm because like, I feel like I grew up very like conservatively, and
Yeah.
everything's very like science based,
Yeah.
like fact based.
Totally.
And it has to be provable. It has to be something you have like personally observed.
Yeah.
And then I'm also like in my PhD program, it's also like, you know, it's social science. So
Yeah.
it's like when people talk about, I also started practicing yoga in the PhD program in Arizona. And I feel like there's some kind of overlap because
Yeah.
actually one of my best friends is like an avid yogi, and she
Mm.
was the person that kind of first introduced me to astrology.
Mm.
She was the person that I was making fun of at the beginning. But you know what? I feel like back then, now that I observe myself, I feel like back then I was probably very uncomfortable
Yeah.
with myself. And when people would tell me about my sign, I'm like, what do you know?
Yeah. Oh,
Right.
totally.
So I feel like it's almost like a defense mechanism for me at first.
Yeah.
And then kind of the year goes by and I went on this sexual awakening journey and also like psychedelics journey. And then I learned that I know nothing.
Yeah. Oh, yeah, for sure.
And that like most people don't know much.
Mm-mm.
So like, how can we falsify astrology?
Yeah, absolutely.
Like if you can't prove it wrong, how can you say it doesn't, you know, exist or it's not real for people? It's very
Totally.
real for some people,
Totally.
you know? So
Absolutely. And that's the thing, when you research spiritual practices, what's really fascinating, and I'm going to include like being Jewish, Muslim, or Christian into spiritual practices, it's very real for the people who experience it.
yeah.
You know, even if there's these really cool studies on witchcraft and modern day witches.
I've never read it.
And oh my God, I go so deep into my little research holes. I'll give you all the books, but it's really fascinating. And that's why I like to reframe astrology as just understanding. It's a method to understand the human experience. And I really relate to your experience in the academia, because when I was at Berkeley, I took an astronomy class, different from astrology, right? Astronomy.
The stars.
And the stars. And my professor really hated astrology and proved that it was not legitimate. And I remember taking that class and feeling like a fool and distancing myself from astrology for like 3 or 4 years. And then ultimately coming back to it and just realizing like, this is a way that I understand the world. And there are so many different ways that you can make meaning of this really weird life experience that we're in.
Exactly.
And this is my way.
Yeah.
You know? But yeah.
But
totally.
my conclusion to my experience was, it's more fun believing.
Yeah.
That's all.
Yeah.
And you know, my number one value in life is fun. So if it's fun to believe, let's believe. Like
100%.
let's hear more, right? And I'm so excited that you're here.
Yeah.
So should we get into it? What is one way each sign can be pleased or receive pleasure?
This is the best question. I love it.
Thank you.
Well, let's start with Aries, the baby of the zodiac. So thinking again of astrology as understanding the human experience. Every single astrology sign represents a different period of life. The astrological year begins with Aries. So Aries is the baby of the zodiac. And we're going to focus today on your sun sign. So this means the day that you were born, your birthday. It's the most common sign we use in astrology, but I'm going to be doing Dr. Tara's chart later. So you'll see how there's like 30 different placements, a lot of different things. Your sun sign represents your identity. And so thinking through the lens of how you in your identity identify with sex, that's how I'm going to answer the question. Okay. Because some people might be listening and they're like, I'm a Gemini and this doesn't relate to me. And I'm like, oh, well, that's because another placement is activated.
Yeah, there's so many things, right?
Yep.
Yeah.
But okay, starting with Aries, again, the baby of the zodiac. Aries represents going for what you want. They're incredibly impulsive. And a lot of times we can view this as not a strength, but I like to reframe it as a mega strength. So thinking of what Aries loves in the bedroom, one, they like to go after what they want, especially if you're someone who is masculine of center or leans into your masculinity and you really identify with masculinity and those archetypes. So the chase, flirting, delayed gratification, these are going to be things that are going to light you on fire because you want what you want, just like a child, and you're not getting what you want, but you're an adult. So you can get titillated by that period of not getting what you want. And so how they like to receive, a lot of the receiving can be very energetic for an Aries. The chase, the flirting, the foreplay, the kissing. And then in
Is it
terms
to
of
be chased or to chase?
that depends on the Aries.
Oh.
Because some Aries, again, and thinking about like how you identify as well in like the way you walk through this world, like if you are more masculine, more feminine, if you're non-binary, how you identify with those energies, not with gender, because gender and the actual energy of understanding, I don't know, how you identify are two different things, but that's really up to the person. So some Aries, if you really identify more with your femininity, it's that energetic feeling of being wanted and they want me and like, oh. And then if you're someone who identifies more with your own masculinity, you probably more so enjoy being the flirt, going after what the chase, in the sense of I'm chasing, I'm getting what I want. And then when it comes to being in the actual bedroom, I'd say role play is a really fun thing for Aries, because that can really get you both, or as many people, maybe there's more than two people involved, but it can get your brain really thinking, and it gives you the ability to not take things too quickly, which is difficult for an Aries.
Right.
They want their cake and they want to eat it too. And they probably baked the cake because they're overachievers and we're here for it. But the next sign in the zodiac after Aries is Taurus. So Taurus is a completely different ballgame from Aries, where Aries is like trying to go for everything. Taurus is the toddler, and they just want comfort, pleasure, taking things slow. They're good at taking things slow. If you're dating a Taurus, taking your time, getting them gifts, they are big. Like their love language tends to be giving and receiving gifts.
Oh, 100%.
And so, so thinking of their sensual, comforting nature, giving them gifts like maybe essential oils or satin sheets that you're going to fuck in later. You know, those are great. Yep.
Those sheets.
Those sheets are bomb. Or bamboo sheets if you're balling on a budget. Just as nice. So, but those type of, a Taurus would love it because you're thinking of them. They're getting to receive something sensual. They're getting comforted, you know, all of those things. And then a Taurus can also really like to take their time during foreplay. So that's a way that they can give. So they're receiving maybe with like the gifts or noticing that another person is taking care of the physical space. Because a Taurus will always keep their space very comfortable, warm, and inviting. So when a Taurus is dating someone or having a sex lovership with someone, and that person doesn't pay attention to like cleaning up the bed after, or just little you know, like little nice things, because a Taurus is doing that, and they'll get exhausted if their lover is not kind of reciprocating. So that's another, I call it chore play instead of foreplay. You know, a Taurus will really pay attention to those things, and they will lose their libido if they're with a lover who leaves the space dirty or messy every single time.
Oh my God, this is literally my mom. I'm like, I'm afraid I know too much.
I'm a Taurus moon, so I like really relate to Tauruses.
You have a little bit of that,
yeah. I mean, I'm a Sagittarius sun, so I'm a messy bitch. Thank God for the Taurus moon. But yeah, and then the way Tauruses like to give is through foreplay, touch, super sensual, making everything last a really long time. And after Taurus, we have Gemini, which if you read my book, I call them the mind fucker of the zodiac.
Ooh,
and
tell
that's
me
what
more.
they are.
The mind fucker.
Yep. They love it. What can you do? A Gemini is going to Gemini. But I call them that because Gemini is ruled by Mercury, the planet of mental stimulation and communication. Gemini is the astrology sign that teaches us the archetype of being a good communicator. If you think back to that analogy of where they are in their life, this is the time in your life when you're starting to go to school. Maybe you're like between the ages of 12 and 14, learning how to communicate, learning how to process your feelings. So that's Gemini. And that's why Gemini represents the duality of intellect and communication. And then like crazy ass feelings. What's happening? Why are you being like this, Gemini? Because they're straddling intellect with like just being crazy.
Yeah.
But we love it.
Okay. That sounds like kinky sex though.
Oh, 100%.
Okay.
Super kinky.
Okay.
Very cerebral though. So very much
I
like
see.
if you're with a Gemini, voice notes and texting, sexting, like
I'm a fan of sexting.
Yeah, absolutely. Like ask them elaborate things. Go crazy in the text messages, you know? Sexting is going to be so much fun, and sexting can be such a good way for people to also start to figure out what their lover likes if you're new and you know, but yeah, sexting, voice notes, another one for role play for sure, because they love to have their brain stimulated. And Geminis, it's interesting depending. Geminis can be like, they're not controlling, but they're so intelligent and they're noticing every detail that they either like can step into a really dominant persona in the bedroom and be like, I have this handled and I'm going to make sure every puzzle piece is where it should be. Or on the opposite end, they're very submissive because they're so good at being like having the bird's eye view on everything that they want someone else to take the reins and just have them not be thinking and not in their head for a second. So massages and slowing things down. Like if you're dating a Gemini, try to incorporate that in there. Again, since Gemini is ruled by Mercury, Mercury is the fastest moving planet. It moves a degree a minute. That's why it's always retrograding. And why we're always losing
tumultuous. I
But-
dated a Gemini guy who loved small dick humiliation.
Oh yeah.
Yeah. Does it sound right? You're like, yeah.
Oh, but a Gemini would love to be humiliated. Again, you're getting them out of their head.
Yeah, I'm realizing that now. As you were talking, I'm like, ooh, that guy. Ooh, he liked small dick humiliation. Okay, okay, cool.
Next we have Cancer.
Yes.
So Cancer is a really fascinating archetype in astrology. Cancer represents the home, your background, your origins, and it's often called the mother of the zodiac. Again, this has nothing to do with gender and doesn't have to do with giving birth or even having children, but just the archetype of someone who is nurturing and taking care of others from an emotional place. And later on, I'll explain how Capricorn is considered the father of the zodiac, where they represent protecting other people and taking care of someone, but not from the emotional side. So Cancer is the most emotionally intelligent sign of the zodiac.
Love that.
Yeah, they're wonderful. I love Cancers. They're incredibly sensual, and incredibly romantic. So this is an astrology sign, whether you're in a long-term relationship or a casual lovership, they are going to like romance. And that is going to really impact the way that they show you sexual care and receive sexual care. So it can also be very confusing. Like if you're in something casual with a Cancer and then they take you to dinner and then they massage your feet and then they fuck you and they're like, cool, I'm not going to call you for 2 weeks. And you're like, what?
I thought we were
like,
together
you gave
already.
me all the romantic signs.
The boyfriend experience.
Yep. And so that can be something that is just something to look out for. Like I don't think that they do it on purpose or they're trying, but they are romantic. You know, they're
are they
emotionally.
also aloof?
They can be. They're not the most aloof. I'd say that goes to Aquarius.
Okay.
But Cancer can have, again, you can have other placements. So you can be pretty aloof.
Okay.
But yeah, Cancer, emotions, romancing your Cancer, being sensual with the body. After Cancer, we have Leo, which is another big romantic sign, but Leo is very different in their romantic energy. Leo is in love with its own life.
Okay.
And Leo rules the sun in the zodiac, and the sun represents identity. So Leos are very connected to their own identity when they're dating or when they're having sex with someone. The way that relationship will reflect on them, that's something they're going to think about. And that's something that can like make or break a lovership. Because they're very ambitious and they tend to love luxury and whatever that means for them, like they could love luxury in a way where they don't like brand names, but things need to be well made.
I see.
And so that factors into sex and again, gift giving and things like that. Leo has a romantic side. So they're going to be another sign that likes to know that you're paying attention to them. So versus Cancer, who's like, I want you to do romance in the more stereotypical way. Leo is like, I want you to romance me by showing me you know who I am, and that'll make me horny.
Personalized.
Like I feel seen.
I see.
So if you know like your Leo likes really well-made things, then you're going to want to get them like maybe a new wallet that's really well made, nice leather, or if they're a Leo who does like brand names, you get them the brand name. I remember my best friend growing up was a Leo and she dated this guy. He loved giving her jewelry and she was always just like, I want something from Chanel. I don't want the expensive, nice thing from like, she's like, I know this is expensive jewelry, but it doesn't mean shit to me. And I'm like, classic Leo. But a
Wow.
Leo knows what they want. So
Okay.
when you're dating a Leo, also ask them because they will tell you.
Yeah.
They're ruled by the lion for a reason. Like they have a
Mhm.
roar. And they're really fun in the sack
Yeah.
because they also, like Aries, they have that fire energy. They go after what they want.
Mhm.
So it can feel really electrifying to be with a Leo because they are like giving you all of that,
Yeah.
Leo, and giving you all of that energy. But that's, I would say, gift giving as well with
Okay.
them. Virgo, which I know you're a Virgo.
That's me.
Which will be really fun to go into with your chart. Virgo is one of my favorite signs in the zodiac because we've been told that well, all my best friends are Virgos. So that right there.
Perfect.
But we've been told that the Virgo is ruled by the archetype of the Virgin in modern day astroculture. But through my own research as a sex scholar and researching history, that isn't really true. Virgo was actually a fertility goddess for the last 3,000 years. And it wasn't until the 1400s when the printing press was invented in Germany and in Europe, and a lot of languages start to be solidified, traditions start to be solidified through the written word. A lot of the folklore of goddess worship was really taken away, including what happened with Virgo. And then she started to be connected to this other virgin goddess called Astrea. And then over the next few centuries, there was all of these poems to Virgo and Astrea. And of course, a huge, we already know that the culture we live in is sex negative and thinks that people should wait until marriage and things like that. So that also bled into it. And so when we think of Virgo, I give that history to let people know, like, if you're a Virgo, I don't believe that you are connected to this idea or archetype of the Virgin. You're more closely.
That's not me.
No, not at all.
Yeah.
You're more closely connected to the archetype of the fertility goddess, the doula, the midwife. Virgo rules the sixth house of health in astrology. She's the doctor of the zodiac, if you will. And so when you're thinking of having sex with a Virgo, Virgos are incredibly kinky, incredibly open-minded, also ruled by Mercury. So very fast-paced. They can have a hard time. They won't show you that they're sweating, but they have a hard time slowing down. Right? Like, so very put together.
Wow, that's so on point. Yeah, I do have a hard time slowing down, and I'm very kinky.
Yep.
Yeah. And I'm very open-minded, so I'll do anything.
Absolutely. And so when you're sexing or dating a Virgo, introducing some like entry-level kinks, like maybe having a blindfold, having some handcuffs. Make sure when you take the handcuffs off to massage people's wrists. Yeah. That's just a little kink 101 because blood flow will stop. But yeah, handcuffs, restraints, these are all really fun things to do with the Virgo because the key with the Virgo is making them slow down. So also incorporating massage. And then Virgo on the flip side.
Like, help me slow down.
Exactly. And then Virgo on the flip side is a giver and is so intelligent, especially knowing health. So oftentimes the way Virgo gives back is outside of the bedroom. Like thinking 3 steps ahead and being like, honey, you need a banana, like for later. You didn't, or like, but these little things, again, like the kind of chore play, for lack of a better word, that we give each other. Like that's how a Virgo is often. Also, Virgos are super seductive. So like when you're ready to give too, I'm sure like you'll just turn on the charm and be like, it's go time.
Yeah. I like to say I love being Marilyn Monroe, but also Norma Jean on some days. Yeah.
I love it.
Yeah. I'll be Norma Jean at a coffee shop and then Marilyn Monroe in bed.
Yep, exactly. It's very Virgo. Absolutely. Because Virgos are also private. So it's not like other people are gonna know the Marilyn Monroe side of you. Only special people will know that side of you. Libra is a really fascinating astrology sign. Libra is ruled by the archetype of relationships. That's why they represent the scales. They also represent contracts like marriage. So Libra, we love our Virgos. Libra is another astrology sign that really likes romance and they may not want to be in a relationship with you, but they want to feel like it. So they're another astrology sign that can give some mixed signals and those double standards. They love to flirt. So another way a Libra is going to be giving that energy is just flirting, talking to you. A Libra, like when you talk to them, it can feel like there's no one else in the world. They're just looking at you. And so that's how Libra is going to start to draw you in and flirt and even like initiate those sexual things. But just watch out and get clear about what you want with that person because they are the queens of being
Period.
like, I want to feel like I'm with you, but I'm
Yep.
not committing to you right now.
Ah, I see. I see.
Which can be okay. That can be fun.
Sneaky Libras.
Sneaky Libras, and they do love that romance because
Okay.
they're a very romantic sign. They're ruled by Venus.
Mm.
So getting them gifts, making sure that, or not gifts actually, honestly, I'd say with Libra, it's experiences.
Okay.
You know, taking them to the nice restaurant that just opened up, taking them to the new museum, all of those things. Find out what their interests are and give them some incredible experiences. And that's good foreplay. Oh, Scorpio's super fun. Scorpio's the sex sign.
Yeah.
So
I've heard that Scorpios are the most sexual sign. Is that true?
it's not true.
Okay.
But the reason why we think that is because every single astrology sign rules a different body part. And Scorpio rules the reproductive and excretory systems. So the reproductive systems include all of the genitals you need for sexy fun time. But Scorpio also rules the excretory systems. That's how you poop and you pee. So Scorpio is the sign of transformation.
Okay, is this like a scat play shit king?
I
Scorpios, you guys got shit kings or what?
But I mean, they totally can. Scorpios and Libras actually tend to really like anal.
Ooh. Oh yeah.
So yeah, if you have a Scorpio Mars, you probably like anal. But that's another day. So, but thinking about Scorpio, one of the things, like they're incredibly intense. They rule the reproductive and excretory system because they're really good at detoxifying all the energy around, and they aren't afraid of taboos. And so they also rule the archetype of the underworld. What's going on in your subconscious and what are you ashamed or afraid of? And a Scorpio is going to want to take that out. And so the way a Scorpio flirts is they want to know your secrets. They want to know like what's going on under the surface. They want to make you come. I mean, they're a sign. Yeah. They're another reason they are the sex sign again, because they rule the genitals. They rule the reproductive system. Every single astrology sign, and I go over this in the book, but we all have secret erogenous zones. And that is, you can find that out through medical astrology, figuring out what body part is associated to your astrology sign. So because Scorpios are already associated to the genitals, they know things. They just have this beautiful hidden well of knowledge. They just tend to be really good in bed.
Damn.
So, I know we all wish we were a Scorpio. But yeah, so with Scorpio, it can be more straightforward, like when it comes to being good in bed, just be present with them and tell them your secrets. They will love it.
Okay.
And then after that is my sign, Sagittarius.
Sagittarius in bed. What are you like?
We're crazy.
Okay.
So earlier when I was talking about Gemini and the mindfucker, Gemini and Sagittarius are what is called sibling signs, where every astrology sign has its cosmic opposite that sits directly opposite it in the sky. And together, when you come together, you're yin and yang. And so Sagittarius is the other side of Gemini. Sagittarius, while Gemini represents duality, Sagittarius represents bringing everything together and merging it into one. Because of that, we can be quite slutty. We we just love to taste everything.
I can't help it. I'm astrologically slutty.
Yeah, right? We just love to taste everything life has to offer. And that especially has to do with pleasure, because Sagittarius was connected to the god Dionysus, god of ecstasy and wine. So it's a pleasure sign.
Do you love wine?
I do love wine.
Me too.
I'm French. I can't. It's bad. I mean, it's not bad.
It's not bad.
I'm a lush. But thinking of Sagittarius and what they love, again, experiences. They're kind of like Libra in that way. Okay. So Sagittarius can get bored very easily because they're always on the hunt for pleasure. So this is an astrology sign where if you want to romance them or get them into bed, figure out what kinds of things excite them and take them to do that thing. Do you want to go on a roller coaster? Like, let's go.
Yeah.
They also quite like hooking up in public. So another way to kind of get the ball rolling is maybe like making out in public or playing with each other in public. Maybe, I mean, I shouldn't say it because it's illegal technically to have sex in public.
I do it all the time.
I know, me too.
Yeah.
But I am a Sagittarius.
I definitely have Sag placement, I feel.
Oh my God, I can't wait to see.
Yeah. I love having sex in public.
Yeah. So that's one thing. Like if you want to flirt with the Sag and get them addicted to you, play with them in public a little bit and then be like, okay, now we have to go home and do the rest.
I see.
And also with delayed gratification. They love delayed gratification. So after that, we have Capricorn. So Capricorn is big daddy of the zodiac. Okay. Big daddy energy, while Cancer is big mommy energy, which is also hot. We need to like make mommies hot again. Like
mommies are hot.
mommies are so hot. Like
I'm about it.
I'm about
I'd
it.
fuck a mommy.
Oh my God. Don't even get me started. But Capricorn represents the archetype of the father, again, having nothing to do with gender or actually having children, but the archetype of providing and providing financially or going outside of the home to provide in some way, shape, or form. So Capricorns are similar to Leo in a way where they love luxury, they are ambitious, and a way that you can really connect with a Capricorn is one, let them do their work. Don't try to get in the way of whatever their life purpose is, because that's instantly going to make them not want to be
dry
with
pussy.
You. Yeah.
That dries
Truly.
their pussy.
It does. It does. And what else with Capricorn? Well, giving them experiences of luxury. So taking them out to a nice dinner, treating them in some ways, like picking up their car payment or something, you know, like 1 month or doing things like that. Because if you can show a Capricorn that you're contributing to their general life purpose, that's going to be a really big turn on. And then they're also incredibly kinky. So this is another sign where you bring in the subtle kinks. Capricorns get really turned on by power play and power. They love power. So any way that you can activate power in the bedroom, whether they want to give the power to you or you want to give the power to them. So figure out if your Capricorn likes to be more submissive or dominant, or if there may be a switch, they switch between the two, and then introduce some fun, kinky toys. After Capricorn, we have our aloof queen, Aquarius.
We love them. We love them. One of my good friends is an Aquarius, and she's so like quirky.
Oh, they're so quirky.
Yeah, I think.
Yeah, they're out to lunch, but like I want to go to lunch with them.
Yeah.
So Aquarius rules the like archetype of innovation, the innovator, technology. So this is a great person to buy a sex toy for, or to take to a sex toy shop, because they love gadgets. They love how things work. They also tend to be friendship sluts. Aquarius is the sign of friendship and taking things slow. So if you're dating an Aquarius, take things really slow. They will get spooked and run away if you don't.
Interesting.
And it's interesting because they don't necessarily like to chase. They're not the biggest chasers, but if you try to chase them, they're like, whoa, 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 whoa. So you have to be careful with that kind of contradiction. And just show them that you're a great friend. You know, talk to them on the phone after sex, like talk about your interests. They're big talkers. So any ways that you can add communication, they will love that. And just showing up as a good friend, they will love as well.
Talking about quirky. So I told you my good friend is an Aquarius, and I told her like, what do you think about guys that like have sex with you that don't kiss? Like don't kiss you. And she's like, I don't give a shit.
So classic Aquarius. I give a lot of shits about that.
Oh, 100%. I'm like, kiss me.
Yeah. No, that's the deal.
Yeah. Like, I don't need that.
Yeah. Classic Aquarius.
Perfect.
Yeah. So
I'm
funny.
loving this.
And then our final astrology sign of the zodiac is Pisces.
Pisces.
We love Pisces. So Pisces closes out the astrological year. They represent the wise sage, the archetype of spirituality. And they will, depending on the Pisces, because some Pisces aren't as spiritual, or they maybe don't realize they're spiritual, but they're very artistic. And that's how they access their spiritual side. But if you are dating a spiritual Pisces, take them to a damn retreat. Okay. Like that is foreplay. Take them to the Tantra retreat. They will be melting. They will be fucking you. They will be so happy.
Oh,
and then if you're dating a Pisces who falls less on the spiritual side, but more on the creative side, do fun artistic things with them. Because this is also a sign that loves friendship, loves experiences, loves making new memories. And oftentimes Pisces, like they're the perfect sign they'd go on a date with you and don't realize until like 3 dates later that they like you. It's very much how a Pisces can be sometimes. And so focusing on that friendship piece and experiences is almost better foreplay than like shoving them against a wall and kissing them.
Okay.
And they also are very cerebral. So they may not always be activated by physical touch so much as talking, good conversation.
God, I know so many Pisces in my life, and that sounds on point.
Yeah. Oh, me too. My best friends are either Virgos or Pisces.
Perfect.
But yeah.
Okay.
12
well,
signs in a nutshell.
the 12 signs in a nutshell. I hope you guys enjoyed that. Now, okay, I want to know more. And I also want you to like demonstrate like this kind of reading to my viewers and listeners. So let's read my chart.
Absolutely. Okay, let me see. I pulled it up here. So the first thing, especially when we're thinking of sextrology specifically, I love to look at your Black Moon Lilith placement. So when I started before, I was saying this is the placement that shows you, like if you think of the folklore of Lilith, right? She was in the Garden of Eden. She got kicked out for asking too many questions because she's a bad bitch and a fertility goddess. And now she's living her own great life. But the beginning of her journey was one of repression, of control. And that's what Black Moon Lilith represents in astrology.
Okay.
How have you been, like, what is hiding in your sexuality, which often is like kind of the true foundation of your sexuality.
Oh my God. I'm so curious.
Yours is Virgo.
Oh.
So you, like, as a sexual being, I mean, it has to do with your health. Like being sexual gives you good mental health.
Oh, 100%.
Yeah. Also kinky.
Yeah.
Being kinky. Being open-minded, I mean, the fact that you're a doctor and you teach about sex, all of those things, because she is
like, I am living my truth.
You're living your Virgo truth, and you're living
this is my destiny, my path.
Mm-hmm. You're living your Black Moon Lilith placement and like bringing it out to life. Like I'm sure growing up, you probably didn't have the experience of anything being open or that being okay.
No.
And so that, like, having a Black Moon Lilith in Virgo is someone who is going to go from being kind of in the Garden of Eden, breaking out, and then being like, let me open up my own practice and, you know.
Nadège, that's literally my life. Like literally my life. Like very sexually repressed before. And oh, I love this.
Yeah. So you're certainly in the time of your life with your Black Moon Lilith where she's like fully expressed. She's not repressed anymore. And in fact, like this part of the journey now is how do we step into the goddess energy and really like integrate it in a way that feels balanced, in a way that doesn't feel overwhelming, in a way that doesn't activate imposter syndrome.
Okay.
All of those things are going to be, and then just being kinky. Being kinky is going to be
I love that. And that's so true. Like I do, you know, I have other sides, but like in general, I just like non-traditional things.
Yeah.
You know, like I of course I enjoy sensual, like missionary sex as well. And it can be orgasmic for me. Totally. I can have multiple orgasms. But I do like have this side of me that always try to come out that like, oh, I want to try different things. Like I want to try new things, different things, more non-traditional. Yeah. And sometimes it scares me because sometimes I'm like, ooh, am I like super weird? You know? And
Absolutely.
Like, will that be accepted? And it's so comforting now that like my partner is very open-minded because I was married before and I don't think he was down for all the things I wanted to do. And even in my previous relationships, there were many men and women that were like, you're weird.
Me too.
And and you know, like shit like that affects you.
Oh,
you know?
100%.
As much as I'm so self-aware and I know like, oh, it's an ish you, not ish me.
Yeah. I like that.
Yeah. It's still something that stuck with me that I'm a little afraid to like be 110% open sometimes for all the things I want to do because shit's crazy.
Yeah, absolutely. And it's so easy to get shamed. And like with that Black Moon Lilith placement in Virgo, like you are meant to undo the shame. Like specifically, if you think of a fertility goddess, you know, like all she knows about is birth and sex and all of these things. And so she's the one who turns around and says like, it's not weird to like poop on your chest and no. And like, and know the facts and know the things. And so, super. Yeah. I always love it when I read people's charts and I'm just like, astrology is right. Yeah.
Well, you're living your truth.
Yeah. For sure. My Black Moon Lilith is in Scorpio. So, so we were both meant to be sex people.
Love it.
So you also have a sun in Virgo, but we went over that a little bit before. Oh, and your rising is Sagittarius.
Makes sense.
That's really cool. So in astrology, you have two different identity placements, your sun sign and your rising sign. Your rising sign can also show you what part of your inner child wound needs to be healed. So if you're a Sagittarius rising, first off, no one will ever know when you're pissed. You have a game face that makes it look like you're always having a good time. And like people could really piss you off and they would never know until you tell them. There could also be like a childhood pleasure wound of like not being able to play. It might not even have to do with sex, but the idea of like, I'm not able to play the way I want to, or the people that I want to play with don't want to play with me. And
oh my God, this is so accurate. This is so accurate. I literally just talked about this yesterday with my partner, that, you know, we were talking about childhood and he was like, oh yeah, I remember growing up playing with Legos. I would spend like 5-6 hours on a Saturday playing with Legos. And I'm like, what? That sounds like a luxury. Like when I was a kid, it was, you know, school and then after school programs and then piano lesson, tennis lesson, English lesson, accent reduction class lesson. And my life has always been very scheduled and there's itinerary for everything. So like I'm pretty sure my Virgo side like that.
Oh, for sure.
But at the same time, you're right. Like I have this sense of like, I want to play.
Yeah.
But ever since, you know, I can talk, I've been in lessons. So
yeah.
Oh,
well, like, let's find ways to play.
Yeah.
You know, like bring in that play. You have a moon in Cancer, which is wonderful. So your moon in astrology represents your emotional core, how you process emotions. Cancer rules the moon. So this is what I like to call a power placement, where the astrology sign that is ruled by the planet is in its home. So you're going to be someone who's very emotionally intelligent, probably emotionally manipulative when you were younger and not evolved.
A little bit.
But just because it was easy for you, not even like as a bad thing, but just literally like you would see social things happening and be like, I know why these people are doing this. Don't fuck with me or I'll set you off. You know, like you just know, and probably have deep empathetic abilities, might even be an empath. People with those type of placements can really pick up on the feelings of other people.
Oh yeah.
And might even have a little bit of psychic abilities.
Ooh, I don't know about that last part, but I'm very excited to explore.
Yeah, absolutely. You should, because Cancers, my sister is a Cancer, and she's someone who's not the biggest astrologer, but like she is psychic. It's
so
crazy. Even my dad the other day was telling me, he's like, if Camille says something, we have to listen because she's always right. And I'm like, I know.
He acknowledged
Cancer.
that.
Yep, I know,
that.
in his little way.
Yeah, I can definitely feel like everybody's emotions. Like if I'm in a room at a party, like 50 people, if I get close enough to them, I can kind of tell from their nonverbals and how they're having a conversation with someone else, how they're feeling.
Yeah.
But I don't know about the psychic part. I'm going to start learning more about that.
I mean, it can manifest in so many ways. Like it doesn't have to be what we stereotypically think. It could
I'm like, do I get my crystal ball now?
No, but it could more so be like your friend is pregnant and then you think, oh, they're going to have a girl, and then they have a girl.
No way.
And
okay, I would love to develop like that kind of skill. Okay.
I think just listen to your intuition.
Okay.
Because that's a really great way to connect to that side of yourself. And you also have a Venus in Cancer. So the way you love is also similar to a Cancer. So I bet you also like romance, feeling maybe a little bit territorial, like what's yours is yours. What else with Cancer and Venus?
But because Virgo, then I play well with others.
You do play well with others. Yep. It's a nice contradiction. But just like, a total sweetheart, to be honest. Like having a Cancer Venus, like it really just doubles down that empathetic ability that you have to care for others and to like put yourself in other people's shoes. Especially now that you're a mature adult, you know, too. Because I'm telling you, like if I had those type of Cancer placements when I was younger, world, watch out.
I can be a little bitchy, but I think overall most of my friends and my husband would say that I'm very sweet.
Yeah, absolutely. And that's probably the Virgo, because Virgos will not tolerate bullshit for too long.
That's the bitchy part.
Which bitches get stuff done. We're here for it. You have a Mars in Aries. So this is another power placement.
That's the sex, right?
Mars is ruled by Aries. And so you might be impulsive with sex. You also are going to go after what you want. Nothing will ever stop you from getting what you want.
Damn, that's true.
Like, yeah. So that's like with that, because that'll activate also in your career, you know,
Oh,
like,
interesting. So it's sex and career?
It's sex and passion and anger. So your
Mm.
career is actually, it's represented by your 10th house,
Mhm.
but your Mars will be activated when you're doing what you're passionate about,
Mhm.
right? And so you will always go after what you want,
Mhm.
especially in your career
Mhm.
with a Mars in Aries. Like,
Wow.
it's a great placement to have because it just
Wow.
means you'll never give up.
Oh
You're
my
not
gosh.
down for long.
Mhm.
And you probably have a good capacity. It probably evens out that Cancer moon and Cancer Venus to where, like, if something hurts you, you can still keep going. It's
Oh,
not going to
yeah.
just like
Yeah.
paralyze you.
I notice that
Yeah.
about myself a lot is I like, you know, I bounce back really quickly from everything.
Yeah.
Like I get you know, people are like, oh yeah, Dr. Tara, your life seems so easy. I'm like, no, it's not. I get rejections every week
Yeah.
and I just bounce back. Like that's it's in my chart.
It is. Oh, it is.
I bounce back quickly from rejections, work stuff, from breakups.
Yeah.
You know, like breakups are really sad for me and I get really angry.
Yeah.
But I would say it lasts like 3 days.
Yeah.
And then I'm like, I'm over it. Let's
Totally,
go. Let's move on.
That's that Aries placement. And it's a good placement to have because it also it lets you honor your anger. I think this is something that we have, especially with sex, we have a lot of trouble with is honoring or acknowledging anger.
Oh, interesting. What do you mean by that?
Well, I just feel like so often you want someone to like you or you want to be cool or you want to be perceived a certain way. So someone could hurt your feelings or piss you off and you can just especially if it comes in the sex realm.
Yeah.
You can sort of gaslight yourself and say, okay, I'm not gonna say anything. I want to be the cool girl. I want to be the cool dude or, you know, whatever. And it doesn't really serve you. It builds up this resentment.
Oh.
And I think there's also, when we're having sex with other people, we're so worried about being the best they've ever had. You know, when you have sex with someone, you don't want them to tell you were good or average. That's great in school or like other shit. But when you're in bed, you want to be the best that they've had, or at least top 5, you know, like
top 5.
Yeah, top 5. And so I think that we can really either downplay our anger in an effort to not have that happen, or we can get easily activated in our anger, right? It could be a trigger for sexual embarrassment you had before when you were younger, and then someone says you have small toes and you're like, fuck you. And it's not, you know, and then the anger is being activated.
What about angry sex?
Oh, I love angry sex. Like, you know, I mean, as a health professional, like therapy is great.
Yeah.
And so is angry sex.
Yeah. different ways, in different ways.
Oh my God. Totally. It's such a release. But so you also have a Jupiter in Gemini. So Jupiter shows you how you expand. It's the planet of expansion and luck. So with the Jupiter in Gemini, you expand by talking about controversial things.
Oh my gosh.
Expand because Gemini is the communicator and it's the intellect. So and then Jupiter is expansion and Gemini loves like duality, seeing both sides of something and then, you know, maybe lighting it on fire a little bit.
Oh my God, that's so freaking accurate because for our podcast, we're about to wrap up recording on cuckolding. And I have, you know, someone who is a supporter of cuckolding, who's well-known person, like a spokesperson of the lifestyle. And then I have someone who's against cuckolding, who's a therapist and is against cuckolding. So I do love hearing from both sides. And it makes so much sense now that it's in my chart.
Oh, absolutely. Absolutely. Yeah. It's going to be such a big strength too with what you do because it allows you to also hold and honor multiple perspectives. So with that placement, you're someone who, like, example, you could be a Democrat and go to the Republican convention and like be like, cool, I don't agree with people here, but I can exist here and be in this space and like honor these different ideas. Also, I can't wait to listen to that episode.
Oh yeah, that's so freaking accurate. I do love, I think more than other people I know, hearing from both sides. And I can also be persuaded. Like I'm open to learning more about why you believe that. And if you can persuade me, like if you can give me enough facts, like I might believe you, even though it's not something I'm used to believe.
Yeah. Oh,
Yeah.
absolutely. Which is such a strength and also a big part of Gemini. That is one of the things, because they
Interesting.
represent communication and intellect. Like they want to be talking about topics and learning more, and they can be persuaded. And that is, if it's a way you expand.
Does it apply to sex? How like, okay, I think that's a little gross, but I'll try if you.
Yeah. Oh, it absolutely
Okay.
can. And Gemini is one of the most open-minded astrology signs in the zodiac because they want to learn. And Gemini, like Virgo, both ruled by Mercury. So you have a lot of Mercury energy in your chart.
What
This
does
is
that
like
mean?
fast moving, wanting the knowledge. The Virgo part of you, like a Gemini wants the knowledge. The Virgo wants mastery. And so that's sort of the difference in how that like search of knowledge will play out.
Oh, interesting.
Yeah.
Huh.
Yeah.
The more you know.
Oh, the more you know. And so you also have a North Node in Pisces, which is really cool. So this doesn't always happen, but remember how I was saying there's always a yin and yang, right?
Yeah.
Like there's each sign has its cosmic opposite. Virgo's cosmic opposite is Pisces.
Woo!
So in this lifetime, you need to be like sort of the yin and yang to yourself. There's not going to be a friend or a partner or a child that is going to offer that for you. You really will have to develop that with yourself. You've spent the first part of your life really diving into the Virgo energy, like based on what you said, like how you grew up, your expertise, all of these things. And so Pisces represents the spiritual sage, trusting what we cannot like hold, but what we can feel or what we experience.
Oh my God, I'm getting goosebumps.
So these are things that you need to develop in this lifetime. Learning more about spirituality. It doesn't mean you have to claim a spiritual practice or become a spiritual person or something, like it doesn't have to mean
spiritual.
that. Yeah.
But I do think that, I feel like any newer spiritual person might agree with me that sometimes when you enter like the world of spirituality, there tends to be like a lot of judgment that you don't do enough.
Yeah. Totally.
Do you know what I'm saying?
I totally experience. I feel
like,
like
you only do that, like, right? Because I'll tell people, like, I meditate every single day for 5 minutes.
Yeah.
And then some people will say, oh, like, does that do anything? I usually meditate for an hour. And I'm like, okay, so I'm inferior to your practice. I see.
Oh, I get that all the time because I also can only meditate for like 5 minutes.
I meditate for 5 minutes every single day. But it's just like, for some people, like, when you hear that, it's kind of like discouraging, right?
Oh, totally. I had an ex who was super spiritual. And so I would like come with like my little spiritual things. And then she would just like blow me out of the water with like, well, and she's like, I minimum 20 minutes meditation. And I'm like, I can't.
You're so much better than me.
Yeah. But those are certainly for you things to develop in this lifetime, whether that means learning about spiritual practices, being someone who's in sex. Tantra could be a great, thing to explore. Oh,
yeah. I feel like I'm a baby in Tantra right now, but I do want to develop that Tantra mastery.
Yep. And the great thing about your North Node is that you have your whole lifetime to do it. So it's certainly like no rush, but just noticing the ways that you can be spiritual in this lifetime and honor that. And then if you meet Pisces, paying attention to like what messages you're being given every time that you meet a Pisces, that has to do with karma.
What?
Because that's your North Node.
Oh.
So there's a lesson there. They're teaching you something.
Oh my gosh. Well, both my dad and sister are Pisces. And they're always teaching me. So you're saying I should listen to them more?
Listen to that, or just pay attention to the signs. Because sometimes like you can meet a Pisces and it's a shit show and you guys don't get along and it's not the business.
I have met a Pisces like that where she just decided that she like didn't like me. That I was too much.
Aww.
Yeah.
Well, not her. Yeah. But then the lesson, so like whatever the lesson is. But it sounds like an issue,
not ish me.
Yep. Amen.
I say that a lot.
And that could be, though, the lesson that the Pisces was meant to teach you. So any Pisces that comes into your life is meant to teach you something that's going to push you forward onto your destiny.
That's so powerful.
Yeah.
Oh, I'm going to pay a much better attention now to next time when a Pisces give me
just
advice.
Every time you meet someone.
I'm like, are you a Pisces? What's your advice for me?
Yeah. Or are you you not a Pisces? Shut up.
Yeah, exactly. Okay, all the Pisces viewers and listeners, please give me comments on your life advice, love advice, sex advice, whatever.
Yeah.
I want to hear from you. Thank you so much for teaching us all about sextrology, and I know we're just scratching the surface.
Yeah. But it's fun. It's so much fun. And I love how open you were about everything. It's such a treat to share this and like see what people connect to and how they understand themselves. I find a lot of times it gives people permission to just accept what they can't change, or maybe gives people permission to be like, oh, I thought it was bad that in my childhood I did this, but now I see how it serves me. And so anyway, loved being here and talking about this with you.
And the kind of sex you like and your partner, so you can develop more of that.
Absolutely.
Okay. Well, the last segment of my show is called 5 Quickies with Dr. Tara.
Love quickies.
With lots of lube. I'll lube you up, baby.
Amen.
Okay. So I'll give you a word. You just give me a response back.
Okay.
Number 1, daddy kinks.
Mommy.
Number 2, sucking toes.
Yummy.
Number 3, eating the booty like groceries.
Janae Aiko, who's a Pisces.
Oh, so I should listen to her advice.
Listen to her music.
So I should eat the booties more.
Yeah.
Like groceries.
Like groceries, yeah.
Okay. Number 4, sensual yoga.
Oh, yes. Always. 100%.
Do you practice?
I need to practice it more. Again, have a hard time meditating. Have a hard time sitting still. Yeah.
Well, last but not least, number 5, sextrology.
Enjoy it.
Enjoy it. I love that. Well, thank you so much for being on my show today.
Yeah, thank you for having me. It was such a pleasure.
Where can everyone find you?
You can find me at Pleasure Science on pretty much anything. Instagram, TikTok, YouTube, pleasurescience.com. And I also do sex coaching and astrology readings. You could find out all about that on pleasurescience.com.
Yes, please do that. What's your sign? Leave it in the comments. I'd love to know. And don't forget to turn on the notification bell. Have an orgasmic day. Bye.
Thanks for listening. This was Luvbites. By Dr. Tara. Follow Dr. Tara on social media at luvbites.co. Have an orgasmic day.